WEHT Local Lifestyles continues.
It's always a pleasure to welcome Dr. Jessica Ignacio of Side Chiropractic. She always teaches me something. Today, it's always good to see you. You really are a good teacher, great communicator. Thank you. And that's important. Yes. When I come to you and I say, look, my lower back is killing me, doctor. So begin the conversation with me.
Well, and I always try to tell people, I don't like selling. I don't sell. That's not my job. I don't want to do it. I educate. Because I think it's very important to educate a patient on what exactly is going on. And that's exactly that's one of the main things that I take pride in with my patients. When you come into my office as a new patient, the number one thing, yes, most of the time that drives people to my office is pain. So it's usually low back pain because that's what I think people correlate chiropractic with a lot is low back issues. So when you come in, there's usually two main things that people want to know. One is, what's wrong with me? So I think that's very important to educate the person and do the proper exams because there's many issues. You could have a low back issue, patient B could have a low back issue, but they're two totally different issues on what's causing that pain. So it's always important to get a good workup on the patient, but then explain that to the patient and say, hey, this is why you have the pain, this is what caused it, this is how I can help, and this is how long it's going to take.
So when you have these low back issues, as you said, all of us could have a different version of that.
Absolutely.
So what are we dealing with? Bulges and disc and
yes. So a lot of times I would say it's a typical misalignment that's taking place. And what I mean by a misalignment is the vertebrae that make up that spine and then that low back just simply instead of being straight have rotated. And that's everyday stresses that cause that. So sitting for long periods of time, bending and twisting and sleeping, that can cause a simple misalignment and pinched nerves. Now that pinched nerve in the low back can lead to what a lot of people know as sciatic issue. And sciatic pain is when that nerve in the back, it runs all the way down the leg. And when it becomes really irritated, it can cause that burning and numbness and tingling feeling.
Tingly feeling,
yes. Pins and needles. It can cause that sensation in that leg. And that's what I absolutely can help with because I fix that misalignment in that low back, which will relieve that pressure of those nerves and hopefully relieve that sciatic issue. Another thing, like I said, misalignments are a big one, disc bulges. So patients will come to me sometimes and say, I went to my primary and they said I have a disc bulge and their eyes light up and they get really big. And I always tell them, disc bulges don't scare me because I could have a disc bulge right now and you don't know it's there. They can be unsymptomatic until they become really prominent and start really irritating that nerve.
And then you know, right.
And again, pressure on the nerve is exactly what I deal with. So if somebody has that disc bulge, the adjustments are still a great, great benefit to relieve that pressure and relieve that disc off the nerve. And again, relieve those symptoms that that patient can be experiencing.
And once we come and we have this wonderful treatment for you and we're feeling better, what advice do you give us in our daily lives to kind of prevent that and ramp it down?
Actually, that's a great question because that's what they always ask me. How can I prevent this? I will say a good rule of thumb right off the bat, I always tell patients, if you hurt your back, if you bend over and you get that instant pain or you have numbness and tingling, just remember inflammation, you always want to put ice on it. I would say ice it and that will give you that, I don't say instant relief, but it'll give you some relief. Don't ever put heat on it.
And that just seems counterintuitive to what we've been told.
Yes.
So it's ice.
Ice. You always want to ice that inflammation because just remember, if something's inflamed, it's giving off heat. You want to add ice to the fire instead of heat.
As I said, she always teaches me something, Dr. Jessica Ignacio of Side Chiropractic. Give her a call. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
We'll be back with more right after this.
This portion of Lifestyles is sponsored by Side Chiropractic Center.